Welcome. This is the Battle of the Biotechs. Thank you all for joining near and far. So for those of you who do not know me, I am Mona Javeri. I'm the founder and director of Music Beats Cancer. And Music Beats Cancer is a charity that exclusively supports startups that are working on cancer fighting solutions, whether it be new treatments, new therapies, diagnostics, anything and everything that we think is promising and compelling to support. And the way we work is we're a charitable crowdfunding platform where biotech startups can put together campaigns and rally the crowd to support their efforts. And this enables these entrepreneurs essentially to raise a round of non-dilutive funding. And at the same time, donors can give their dollars to a cancer fighting solution that they find compelling. And the way we work is we partner up with musicians, specifically independent artists, and organizations in the music industry. And these musicians help us raise awareness and raise funds. And our primary method of fundraising with musicians is called the Music Beats Cancer Challenge. And essentially, this is a challenge that we've been doing with iHeartRadio, where the winners, it's a challenge, and so we have artists participating, and the winners who raise the most get something special, like they get their song on the radio, or in this case, in our last challenge, we had 35 artists competing. They raised about $20,000, and the top two who won are going to have their music video aired in the iHeart or at the iHeart Jingle Ball concert in December. And so that money raised by the artists essentially is going to be used for cash prizes today for the Battle of the Biotechs. So without further ado, I want to kick off the Battle of the Biotechs. And before I start, I just want to sort of lay out how it's all going to work. So we have 3 contestants and we have 3 judges, although one of them may not be here with us at the moment. But each contestant has 2 minutes to share, 1, what the technology is, and 2, how it's going to help reduce the cancer burden, and 3, why they are the group to move this forward and to make it a reality. And then we will do 2-minute Q&A with the judges. And from there, the judges will do some scoring. And like I said, we have 3 contestants, and yes, it looks like we now have 3 judges. In any case, to get this started, I want to first introduce the judges. So let's bring them on stage with me, and I'll introduce Noah Parrick, singer and guitarist from band Blue Honey. We also have Sangeeta Kaur, who is singer-songwriter and a Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter. And finally, Trey Nagala, who is should be on, who is also a 3-time Grammy Award-winning sound producer and mixer and sound engineer. And he should be on the stage shortly. So let's say hello to our 3 judges. And do we have Trey on? Oh, no. Trey is coming on. Okay.
He is coming on.
He's coming on.
Well, it's great to be here. Great to be here, Mona. And we're really excited to be participating in this event. It's a great event. It's something that's never been done before. And it's really cool that you're including musicians and artists such as myself and Sangeeta and Trey to participate in this event. It's really great. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say this is the very first time I'm doing something like this, and it's really exciting and primarily for me, yes, music-wise, but also just for the cause and what you're doing here, and I think it's fantastic.
Appreciate it, guys. I thank you so much for participating. And it is the sort of a first ever event where innovation is being judged by musicians. And we've never done this before. And we've never done a live stream like this. So anything can happen in this battle. Let's just put it that way. All right, so maybe we should get started with our first contestant. The first one, we'll take the judges off stage, and I will bring on Dr. Khadija from Biosapien. Hi there.
Hi, Mona. How are you?
Hi, great. Thanks so much for joining and for participating in this. So you have 2 minutes to, like I said, share what Biosapien is up to. And from there, we will bring on the judges for Q&A. And we also have a countdown clock.
Oh, perfect.
So, okay. So why don't you take it away, Khadija?
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I really appreciate it. So I'll actually take everybody on a little bit of a journey. So imagine someone that you know that has been diagnosed with cancer. Think back to their treatment. Generally, what would happen is that they go into the physician. The physician says, you know, we see this tumor and we think we can take it out. They either go for surgery and they try to remove it. And sometimes, most of the times, they're not able to, and they give you what's called systemic chemotherapy. Now, systemic chemotherapy, as the name implies, goes through your entire bloodstream. So it basically goes into your entire bloodstream, goes through everywhere, and actually can cause all sorts of effects and side effects. So, for example, when you're getting the chemotherapy in the first 4 to 5 hours, you start to get nausea and vomiting. Over the course of 4 to 5 days, your hair starts falling out. And then over the course of 4 to 5 weeks, you end up with like long-term organ damage that can actually reduce your ability to fight other infections and lead to life-threatening complications as well. So essentially, that's the main problem that we are targeting at Biosapien. And essentially what we've created is MediChip, and I'm hoping it pops up. Thank you. And what MediChip is you're actually able to, if you think of it, it's kind of like a Band-Aid that goes onto the top, on the tumor itself. So you suture on the 4 corners that you see on the actual tumor, and over the course of 1 month, it releases the same chemotherapy that you would get through systemic, but very, very localized. So now you can go around, walking around, doing your groceries, watching TV, and you don't have to worry about any of the side effects because of how local it is. We've completed animal studies with this product. We've met with the FDA over the summer, and we're hoping to start clinical trials next year in rectal cancers and colorectal cancers. And the reason why our team is able to do that is we have the best clinical sites on hand, such as MD Anderson, Mayo Clinic, UC San Diego, Vanderbilt, and we have experts all around from pharma, from the ex-FDA, and really motivated and passionate individuals. I see the clock ticking, so I'll just stop right there.
All right. That was awesome. That was amazing. So what I want to do is do 2-minute Q&A with our judges. So let's bring our judges back on.
Hi. I have to say I'm impressed. Are you a singer at all? Because you said a lot in a really short amount of time. That was like the best breath support ever.
Oh, thanks. I teach, so maybe that's where it comes from.
That was amazing.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing. I guess I'll go first. This is an amazing potential. Like I recently just lost somebody a few months ago, a very young, dear cousin of mine to cancer. And yeah, I think I'm not the only one, but so many of us have experienced seeing loved ones go through the process of chemotherapy, whether they survive that or not. And so it's not a comfortable sight to experience, especially if you witness that. So I really appreciate this kind of device and treatment for trying to get people off systemic chemotherapy. It's awful. So I just wanted to share my opinion about it. Obviously, I'm a musician. I'm not a scientist. I don't know any of this, but from an emotional perspective, I just think that this is something that is so necessary, and it's a really powerful thing that you're offering to the world. And we really hope that this can work as one element to finding treatments for cancer. I don't know the science behind it, but what if we're using this on a certain area and, with the chemotherapy, they try to guarantee that it's going to eradicate any more moving cells or potential growing cells? And how fast can we catch that? Is that something just like, it's a risk, right? When people are considering it, like, should we do this whole systemic direction or just this patch? Is it really going to not cause the spread? And I think that maybe one thing that people would be afraid of and not sure of.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So our technology is actually focused on localized lesions. So there's about 30% of patients that all get chemotherapy and they have to stop chemo altogether because they get really unwell. So this is perfect for those kinds of patients. This is also perfect for the kinds of patients that when you go into surgery and you're trying to remove the cancer, but you're not able to do so. So you just close them up and you send them home. So instead of doing that, you can provide a solution to reduce the tumor burden while you're looking at radiation or immunotherapy or other kinds of chemotherapies. I do want to just say that this is only for localized therapies and not so much, conditions like leukemia, where it's all within the blood and you do require that systemic therapy.
Right. So it's not for all tumors, but it's for certain ones that could likely respond. Are there further questions? Quick ones? Noah or Trey?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I'd love to learn a little bit more about you as a person, because it's always really interesting to hear about why people take on these journeys. And, I'd love to hear a little bit about a moment in your life where you learned the power of not giving up.
That's a very emotional question. Yeah, I was going to say. So I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm a physician by training, but God knows that was never in my plans. I'm actually a philosopher. I was in undergrad, minding my own business, trying to contemplate if I'm actually real or not. And my dad, who's my best friend, ended up getting diagnosed with cancer when I was 18. And that's kind of where my curiosity led me into trying to find new innovative technologies. And I think that's really my drive as a person. It's just because, like most people here, I've experienced it through his experience, right? And watching sort of the suffering that was related to it. And then I could never understand what that was about. To me, the cancer was in one place, but his hair's falling out. I just couldn't connect the two. Curiosity, like from my intellectual curiosity. If to your second question, in terms of, a moment of giving up, to be honest, as an entrepreneur, I think every other day, I was having this conversation with somebody last night. Every other day I feel like giving up, right? Because there's so many fires and you never know. It's a roller coaster. What keeps you going is the fact that there's people who believe in you and believe in the technology, and there's people that actually need the thing that we've created. So even though times are tough, they're running out of capital, or people are quitting, or the economy is going crazy, those are things that keep you driving forward to make sure that you can actually get the technology to the patients where it matters the most.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. So let's give a round of applause for Dr. Khatija. And and the judges will score. Next contestant, we're going to show one of our artists who won was one of the winners of our Music Beats Cancer Challenge. We're going to put his video on to give the judges a minute to score. So let's bring on that video, and then I'll call the second contestant.
I care about the mission for Music Beats Cancer because I truly believe that the work that they're doing is actually making the change that's needed for cancer to be eradicated.
Tell what we did
Okay, we're back. Again, for those who are just joining, this is the Battle of the Biotechs, judged by musicians, never been done before, a novelty, and we're so glad you could be here. We have had one biotech already do their pitch, and we're on to the second one. So the next one I will call up to the screen is Dr. Jim Sonner with Knowledge Pharmaceuticals. There he is. Hi, Jim.
Okay. Thank you, Mona. So just to say it myself, I'm Jim Sonner. I'm one of the founders of Knowledge Pharmaceuticals. And I'm here because I am developing a drug for brain cancer. The science comes from many years of research in my lab. And my research was focused on the interaction of small molecules with the brain. It originally started with anesthetics that then led to looking at small molecules that are naturally occurring. And finally, I started looking at the ketogenic diet. And that was interesting to me because it's been used since 1921 for more than a century to treat seizures. And it's still used today because there are so many patients who have seizures that aren't treated by existing drugs. And what I found was that when there's a very strict form of the diet that's used, which is done all over the country, a particular compound is found in our blood, and I tested it and studied it, and it has an anti-seizure effect. And once I started presenting this, I had people approach me and say, you know, the ketogenic diet is good for brain cancer. And I looked at the literature, I looked at other cancers, and it's right. Of all the cancers, this is very serious, very aggressive. People die quickly in about 15 months on average. And we need better treatments, and the ketogenic diet appears to be one. And the compound I discovered also has been applied to tumor cells, and it looks like it works there too. The problem with using the diet is hard to comply with, and the problem with the compound is that it goes away very quickly. I've given it to animals, it goes away in a few minutes. So what I need to do is develop a longer acting drug, and I have a team that can do that. I have a pharmaceutical chemist at the Keck Pharmacy Schools, make longer acting compounds, and we're talking to cancer centers to test these in the appropriate models. And that's the plan.
Excellent, Jim. Thank you so much. I honestly love this concept of the ketogenic diet, and it's pretty different. It's pretty interesting, and I'm going to leave it to our judges to do some Q&A.
Jim.
Oh, go ahead. Okay.
So what kind of music do you listen to?
I've listened to classical music.
Yay! Perfect answer.
Yeah. I took piano lessons as a kid.
Amazing.
So that's where that started.
Jim, since you listen to classical music, do you have difficulty with improvisation?
No, I don't. I actually have. I've listened to the Cologne concert, and that's improvisational, right? And I think it's beautiful music. I play that in the operating room where I work.
That's amazing. How did you come up with this intersection between diet and science, which usually is two totally different worlds?
Sure, it's easy. I was looking for new anesthetics, and did lots of research, and then I realized, there's some conditions that look like anesthesia, and one of them is diabetic ketoacidosis. It's called that because same reason the ketogenic diet. These compounds called ketone bodies are elevated in the blood, so it's natural to just look at it. And the answer is yes. At high concentrations, that compound is an anesthetic. I did lots of basic science studies. And that's when I got clued into, wait a second, this ketone body ketogenic diet is around and has been around for a long time. And that's when I started looking at treatments for epilepsy.
Interesting. So I'm really big on health and nutrition, so this is actually very interesting for me. But I have learned a lot about fungi in the system, and with the ketogenic diet, that's actually reducing a lot of sugars in your diet and lowering content that actually feeds cancer potentially, and also that feeds fungus in your body. There's this correlation between fungus and a lot of disease in the body, and also cancer. This is just, I don't know how proven this is, but it's out there. So much information. How are you doing any research with fungus in the system as well?
You're going to find the answer to that surprising. One fungus is yeast, right? And I actually did a sabbatical at Stanford looking at yeast genetics to try to figure out how the various drugs I was looking at worked. And it's actually a great model system. And it told me a lot about how the drugs that I'm looking at work. So I actually think I know something other people don't know about how this particular compound adds to the treatment of cancer. It does something that the other drugs don't do. And I use a fungus as a genetic model system.
Interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I know that with other like nutritional supplements, for example, they don't have a lot of FDA regulations.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get around things. Sometimes they are very strict about certain things. Supplements aren't regulated the same as drugs.
That's right.
So like with nutritional supplements, workout supplements, it can be a little bit of false advertising because they aren't as regulated. So I'm wondering, how does that kind of affect what you're trying to do? Would that help? Could that help or hurt you? Right? I could see either way how the FDA could hold you back being a drug, and I could also see you might be able to work around it because it's more
this
supplement.
This falls under drug because we have to modify the compound that I've been looking at, which is a natural compound, and we have to chemically modify it so that it's longer acting. And the moment you do that, it's a drug and it falls under the FDA, and it's not the food part of Food and Drug Administration. It's the drug part. So it has to go through the full drug development. You have to do all of the studies to show that what you made, which is no longer naturally occurring, is safe to give to people.
Which I know that's an enormous hurdle, I would assume.
Yeah, it is an enormous hurdle, but anyone who develops a drug has to go through that, and there's established ways of doing that.
Okay.
That's a great question, Trey. Jim, are there natural supplements that are proving this very sort of thesis out there that people are selling and saying, hey, listen, you can take these supplements and...
For cancer?
Yes. Specifically with the keto technique.
Well, if we go to look at seizures, it becomes obvious right away whether your supplement works or not, and no, that to my knowledge doesn't happen. For cancer, I guess it might be easier. I'm not aware of it. There might be somebody who's doing that because if you have somebody who has dozens of seizures a day and you take a supplement, it doesn't work, within a day. I don't know the answer for cancer. I wouldn't be surprised if some people are trying it. And I don't know what the drugs are very regulated. I'm not sure what the food and, supplement regulation is like, but I would think they'd get in a lot of trouble doing that if people got worse. Like I said, I've had people, I've taken care of patients with brain cancer, and I've had families and other people tell me that the ketogenic diet actually does work for brain cancer. It does not cure it, but it makes the symptoms and prolongs the life. And that's really what they're looking for. And they've been surprised that the diet works.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think as scientists, innovators, we are often focused on cures, but I don't think that that's enough. We have to also look at how to improve quality of life, how to improve the patient experience. And I think this is what you're onto something here, Jim. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This was great. Let's give Jim a round of applause.
Where's the great sound effect?
There
we go. And so, before we get to our next contestant, we are going to bring our next music video up of the second winner of the Music Beats Cancer Challenge, Samsara. So, thank you guys, and see you in a minute.
Hey, what's up? This is Dylan Tripp from Samsara. We support Music Beats Cancer because it's a cause that resonates with all of us. Too many people suffer this, and we need to find a cure, and we hope that we did our part to help.
And we're back. Again, this is the battle of the Biotechs, judged by musicians. We've had 2 Biotech contestants already pitch. We're on our last one. So I'd like to bring up, our last contestant, Dr. Bill Whitmire from Pulmostics. Excuse me.
Yes, thank you very much. Am I live here?
You are live and ready to roll. You've got 2 minutes to tell us what Pulmostics is working on and why it will help reduce the cancer burden and why Pulmostics. All right, take it away, Bill.
6 years ago, my late wife and I started a company called Pulmostics. Our goal was to develop a culturally appropriate, non-invasive, painless, rapid methodology to screen for breast cancer. Tragically, 18 months ago, my wife died from the very disease before she could see her vision fulfilled. That's not unusual. 1 in 8 women in the United States is going to be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. Last year, 2.6 million new cases of breast cancer were diagnosed worldwide. More than 640,000 women died from breast cancer. These deaths, tragic, are also unnecessary. Screening and early detection is the key to beating the cancer. Diagnosed at stage 1, you have over a 95% 5-year survival rate. By stage 3, it drops to 65%, 25% at stage 4. And unfortunately, over 70% of all cancers worldwide are diagnosed at stage 3 or later. What we're bringing to the case is something called breath analysis. Cancers in the body produce trace compounds, that is in parts per billion, that can be detected in the breath. By getting a sample of your breath, analyzing them, and identifying the presence of these compounds, we can identify women who are likely to have breast cancer. We're currently doing clinical trials in Mexico to validate that we have the sensitivity and specificity of a mammogram. So just imagine a simple breath test, no disrobing, just 1 breath sample, and you're on your way. No more mammograms. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Wow, excellent and perfect timing. I'm going to bring the judges back on stage for 2 minutes of Q&A. Take it away.
So I have a question. We all know that this is really necessary. As a woman, I know that I have to go get checked annually, and it just almost sounds like this, like this miracle thing, because you just breathe into this tube, and this information comes out through your breath, and it will tell you all this stuff about your body, and if you potentially have breast cancer or on the way. But what are these compounds that you're analyzing? What's actually coming through?
Well,
I don't understand that.
So the underlying theory is that when you have a hard tumor, you get stresses that are built up. You create hydrogen peroxide in that area. So as cells die, the cell walls get cleaved, and hydrogen peroxide oxidizes the lipids in the cell walls, and you start getting these alkane chains. So if you're looking for breast cancer, you're looking for heptanol, hexanol, octanol, and nonanol. Those are the 4 compounds you're looking for in the body. So these are moderately long chain alkanes that you're looking for. And for breast cancer, that's unique. There's a different setup for lung cancer. Trials we did for lung cancer over in China, we had a 92% sensitivity for detecting lung cancer. But our focus right now is breast cancer because it is the most prevalent cancer in the world right now. 12% of all cancers being diagnosed in women are breast cancer.
Thank you so much.
William, you mentioned that the lung cancer study you conducted in China, that had a 92% specificity in terms of its sensitivity to detecting?
Sensitivity, specificity was around 76%. So we had a number of false positives.
Okay, false positives. You know, obviously with any cancer, early screening, early detection is critical, but we also have to be concerned about missing that actual target, right?
Yes.
And, you know, to say, let's do away with mammograms, I think everything is a collective process, right? You have to use different tools and continue to test with different resources. So I would just be concerned about, even if you were able to get to 98%, the 2% of the...
Well, unfortunately, the gold standard that's out there right now, which is a mammogram, at best, in the most expensive pieces of equipment with the best artificial intelligence to do tumor identification, has a sensitivity of about 85%. So you're already missing, you know, 15 out of every 100 cancers you're already missing. So the data that comes for this technology from the study by Dr. Herman Safar at the University of the Negev in Israel was, if you combine an analysis not just of the breath, but also of the woman's urine at the same time, do a headspaces analysis of urine, you can get a 90% positive predictive value. Now, that has a very good benefit because mammograms are very good really for postmenopausal women because the tissue density is much greater. But if you've got dense breasts and are premenopausal, which unfortunately we're getting more and more breast cancer occurring in younger and younger women, that density difference is hard to identify. So having something that allows you to identify first, and then when it goes to the radiologist to look to locate, there's already a presumption that it is present, and you will spend more attention to make certain it's correct and check that woman so you don't get these false negatives.
Right. Perfect. Thank you.
We can't hear you, Mona.
Oops. Oh, sorry.
We hear you now.
I was going to say, now you can hear me. This has become a big problem with the dense breasts and breast cancer in younger women. But also, Bill, you and I have talked a lot about the inability to screen in areas where they don't have access to mammograms.
Oh, well, that's the big one here. In the U.S., about 62% of the women adhere to the FDA recommended screening requirements. And they keep moving that around because one of the interesting things about using radiation is it's invasive. So if breast cancer is occurring in younger women, we're going to want to start to screen younger women. But we also know that the FDA estimates that about 3% of breast cancer cases that occur in postmenopausal women in their 60s and 70s are induced by the radiation used to screen for breast cancer earlier in their life. So what you want to do is they've got a very interesting juggling act of how do I move that dial along there to prolong and get the best results. Here we have a technology that allows us to screen without doing that. So you could start at age 20 if you wanted to.
Right.
And move on. The big issue is globally, there is no infrastructure. If you were in Peru and they wanted to, you were a woman in Peru with the infrastructure they have, you could get 2 mammograms in your lifetime if every woman were participating. Imaging infrastructure is expensive. Lots of countries can't afford it. Not only do you have to spend $500,000 on the piece of equipment, you also have to have the trained radiologist. You also have to have the shielded environment to operate in. Here is a simple little device that is about the size of a compact computer that you capture the breast sample, you analyze the breast sample. Among other things, it's very safe. The worst it can ever do to you is hurt your foot if it falls onto your foot. That's it. So the usage is very safe, the operation is safe, and it can be distributed into clinics, into OBGYNs, into everywhere out there. So when you show up for your check, you can do this. The underlying technology, and I'm wandering off and going on there, has a great potential. There's a paper out of Mexico that establishes that by looking at the volatile organic compounds present in a woman's vaginal fluid, you can identify whether she has cervical cancer or not. That's another research project to be done down the road. We were talking about some of these other diseases like Aspergillus-induced pneumonia. You can detect that on your breath very easily. This is an emerging diagnostic technology, and we're focused on what we think is the most critical one right now to improve the world's health, which is women's health, and it's breast cancer now.
Thank you. Any further questions from the judges?
Just William, are you fully commercialized right now?
No, we are not commercialized. We have to get regulatory approvals. In Mexico, it's COFEPRIS. In the US, it is going to be the FDA. The good thing about the instrument itself is the 510K, but because it's cancer, it has a very significant barrier to regulatory approval in terms of sensitivity and specificity. And one of the reasons we're doing Mexico is there's still a lot to learn. I know all you men out there won't know this because when I mentioned it to my wife, she goes, God, you guys don't observe anything, do you? But a woman's breath changes as a function of where she is in her menstrual cycle. And so there's
I didn't know that. I didn't even know that.
Oh, wow. My wife's comment was, God, you don't notice my hair's a little bit oilier and all of this other stuff along? It's like, I'm male. Let's put it there. So this
Us women, we know a lot of other things, but the breath part was that's new to me.
And what changes in the breath?
Well, see, your body is her body is signaling with hormones and saying, okay, generate tissue, tear down tissue, or ovulate. And so those small amount of hormones also then change the biology of how the body's processing foods and what it's doing. And you get these small changes of different compounds that are present in there. We haven't studied what is exactly changing. We just know it's there. So it's one of those things in our clinical trial where we're asking women where they are in the cycle, so that it's data we can extract from that. And out of breath itself, and I'm going way out on there, there's a huge amount of information. You can detect TB. There are lots of diseases out there, but nobody has it yet because we have a huge amount of data we have to understand so that you can give doctors diagnostically actionable information at the point of care over how your body is working relative to what the standard body is. And we don't have the standard body yet.
Okay, I want to, guys, I want to move on to voting, and there is a small chat icon to the right. And if you look there will be a poll that will ask you who should be first, who should be second, and who should be third. And while the judges are scoring and the audience is voting, we've got a couple of more videos to share of the music of our judges. Thanks for voting, and stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with the winners.
I believe in the mission of Music Beats Cancer. Music Beats Cancer is bringing awareness to the world that there are so many people trying to find a cure for this disease. This gives us hope for so many generations to come.
I've been broken, I've been scared, I got my soul, just couldn't bear. I keep my feet in the ground, the only way truth can be found. I will stand, I will be free, I'll be the change for you and me. I'm not gonna break, I'm not gonna fall.
What cancer means to me, memories resonate. Loss of my father, grandmother, having a very close friend that's suffering right now. The will to live, the hope for a cure, the prayers for more time. That's what it means to me. We're tighter than ever, we're about together. Harmony, precious bliss. I'm twisted up with you. Twisted up with you. Cross my heart, oh, I love you. Cross my heart, I love you.
That's the nature of innovation. If you don't invest in failure, you won't learn.
We have these great ideas and then we never see the light of day, and this is a big problem. Music is the way we're going to rally around the innovators because they're the ones that are going to make the difference.
We want to save kids' hearing from chemotherapy regimens. I'm the CEO and founder of Automagnetics. You can't be half in. If you're half in, it's not going to work. So you got to be all in.
The funding has got to be there. Somebody's got to move walls out the way so people can survive and live.
One of these things will work, and it will change lives.
Okay, we're back. We're back with the results. Let me just, there we go. I'm hearing an echo. All right, so we're back with the results of our first, second, and third place winners. So I should have received, the judges, are you guys all finished scoring? And if so, okay. Okay, great. So, okay, so the judges are coming in with their votes. And I think it was very difficult because all of these ideas are great ones, and it's super difficult to try to figure out who should win here. But like I said, these were judged based on how inspiring these innovations are in terms of what their technology and how they can reduce the cancer burden. And I think in this case, the judges really focused on the jockeys and how they felt about these pitches and the innovators who are leading these companies. So it looks like for third place, we have a little bit of a toss-up for third place. So what we're going to do is we might have to have a tie for second and a winner, but the clear winner is knowledge. The clear winner is Pulmostics, and they will get our first place prize for $10,000. And the second and third, it looks like there was a tie there. So we will split the two of those, which they would each get $5,000. And so I'd like to bring up the two second place winners. It's Jim and Khadija. And the third and our first place winner is Bill. So I want to bring you guys up, and could you each just share for 1 minute your sort of your reactions and your thoughts that you can share with the audience.
Well, let me go first, and if I'm on here. One, I am very impressed with the BioSapien. That technology, especially if it may be able to be used in a lot of what we would refer to as your cancers that are in soft tissue carcinomas that are located in there, will have fantastic effect. Jim, I wish your stuff were around because my wife ultimately died from leptomeningeal carcinoma. And at this point, there's nothing that gets beyond the brain-body, the blood-brain barrier. So it's a terrible disease. So I'm looking forward to you guys' success in getting these solutions in the market, hopefully before I end up on the other side of the grass.
Okay, and Jim?
Well, I really enjoyed participating in this. It's a wonderful event. It was an unexpected event, and I'll be putting that money to good use. And I'm also going to tell my brother-in-law about this. He's, I didn't want to mention it at the time, but he was a jazz saxophonist, and about 25 years ago, he received his group received a Grammy Award, and I suspect he's not aware of this event, and he'll be very happy to hear about it.
That's incredible. Okay, yeah, he should have been here.
Yeah.
Khadija?
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And it's really nice to see, all the different kinds of technologies, whether it's diagnostic or, based on prevention. So as a founder myself, I really appreciate everything that you guys are doing. And I know that I can't see the audience, but thank you guys for being here, because without your support, we're just talking to each other. So thanks for all that. And Mana, thank you for setting this up. I appreciate that as well. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, I thank you all. This is the first time we've done this. We've doing this live stream, bringing musicians on, trying to create a forum where we can talk science, but make it accessible. This was a first time, so I really appreciate you and the judges pioneering all of this with us. And I'd like to, well, first give you guys a round of applause and thank you for being part of it. There we go. I just want to say, maybe could we get also the judges on here and give them a round of applause as well for being part of this? So I want to mention to everyone out there, so the campaigns are below this stream, and this is a call to action. The winners will have their monies front loaded in their campaigns, and the audience is called to action to donate, to support, to share, and help us just get the word out there about Music Beats Cancer, but also about these campaigns that are trying to raise. We really, really appreciate it. And like I said, the campaigns are below us, and you can just scroll down and hit the donate button and donate and share. We'd really appreciate it. And before we close, again, I want to thank not only our contestants, our judges, our attendees, but also to reiterate that those cash prizes were raised through a Music Beats Cancer challenge, which we have done with independent artists and the support of iHeartRadio. So I also want to give them a shout out for their support. So with that, I'd like to close our event, and for those who couldn't make it, this will be recorded, and we will be sharing this video. And please feel free to share it, and as a way to do more calls to action and get people to support these campaigns. So thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mona.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
You guys are amazing. I have to say thank you. I'm so proud and honored to be a part of this. Thank you.
That's the nature of innovation. If you don't invest in failure, you won't learn.
great ideas and then we never see the light of day, and this is a big problem. Music is the way we're going to rally around the innovators because they're the ones that are going to make the difference.
We want to save kids hearing from chemotherapy regimens. I'm the CEO and founder of Automagnetics. You can't be half in. If you're half in, it's not going to work. So you got to be all in.
The funding has got to be there. Somebody's got to move walls out the way so people can survive and live.
One of these things will work, and it will change lives.